I used to lose my mind over the smallest things. Someone cuts me off in traffic. I'm fuming for the next hour. My boss sends a passive-aggressive email. There goes my entire afternoon. Family dinner turns into a debate. I'm mentally writing comeback speeches for days. I was basically a walking emotional time bomb, and I had no idea how exhausting it was. Then something happened that changed everything. I got angry at a complete stranger in a grocery store over something so stupid I can't even remember what it was, and I watched my 5-year-old niece look at me with this confused, scared expression. Not my proudest moment, but it taught me something huge about anger. See, I used to think anger just happened to me, like weather. But then I started noticing patterns in what actually set me off. Let me show you what really triggers us. That one coworker who always has something slick to say. The family member who knows exactly which buttons to push. Or that driver who cut you off and then had the audacity to drive slow. Here's the thing about anger, though. It's never really about the other person. I know that sounds like therapy talk, but hear me out. Anger is almost always about unmet expectations and lack of control. You expected that driver to be courteous. You expected your boss to communicate clearly. You expected your family to respect your boundaries. When reality doesn't match your expectations, your brain goes into fight mode. But what if I told you there's a way to never feel that anger again? Not suppress it, not pretend it doesn't exist, but actually not feel it in the first place. I tested this on myself like a lab rat with anger management issues. Step 1. Catch the trigger before it catches you. Your body gives you warning signs before anger hits. Your shoulders tense up, your jaw clenches, your breathing gets shallow. I started paying attention to these early warning signs like my life depended on it. The moment I felt my shoulders creeping toward my ears, I'd pause. Not think about it, not analyze it. Just pause. This sounds stupidly simple, but it works because anger needs momentum. When you pause, you break the momentum before it builds. Step 2. Change the story you're telling yourself. See, anger loves a good story. That person disrespected me on purpose. They think they're better than me. They did this to ruin my day. But what if none of that was true? What if that driver who cut you off just got terrible news and wasn't paying attention? What if your boss is overwhelmed and stressed, not trying to be difficult? What if your family member is dealing with their own stuff, and it has nothing to do with you? I'm not saying make excuses for bad behavior. I'm saying stop making their behavior about you. Most of the time, people are just living their own messy lives. They're not plotting against your happiness. This shift in perspective is like having a superpower. Step 3. Focus on what you can control. This is the big one. You can't control other people's actions, but you can control your response. You can't control traffic, but you can control leaving 5 minutes earlier. You can't control your boss's communication style, but you can control how you interpret it. You can't control family dynamics, but you can control your boundaries. When you focus on what you can control, anger loses its power. Because anger is fundamentally about feeling powerless. Step 4. Practice the 2-second rule. Before you react to anything, count to 2. Not 10, not 5, just 2 seconds. 2 seconds is enough for your prefrontal cortex to kick in and override your emotional brain. This tiny pause changed everything for me. Step 5. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? 99% of the time, the answer is no. That rude comment won't matter in 5 years. That traffic jam definitely won't matter in 5 years. This perspective shift is like having emotional zoom-out powers. Now here's what happens when you master this. Your stress levels drop dramatically because you're not constantly in fight mode. Your relationships improve because you're not reactive anymore. Your energy increases because you're not wasting it on anger. And people start respecting you more because you're unshakable. I used to be that person who held grudges for weeks. Now I genuinely can't remember the last time I was truly angry. Not because I'm suppressing it, but because I don't feel it anymore. Here's the secret most people miss. Anger is a choice, not a reflex. Between something happening and you getting angry, there's a split second where you choose. Most people aren't aware of that choice. But once you become aware of it, everything changes. You become the person who stays calm when everyone else is losing it. You become the person others come to for advice. You become the person who has emotional freedom. Look, this isn't about becoming emotionally numb. You'll still feel frustration, disappointment, or hurt sometimes. But those emotions will pass through you instead of consuming you. They'll inform you without controlling you. 3 months later, I'm back at that same grocery store with my niece. Someone cuts in front of us in line, clearly in a rush and stressed. Old me would have been furious. New me? I genuinely felt compassion. My niece looked up at me and said, "Uncle, that person seems worried about something." That's when I knew this stuff really works. When you change how you respond to the world, you change how the world responds to you. Start with step 1 today. Pay attention to your early warning signs. Catch that tension before it becomes anger. Your future self will thank you, and so will everyone around you.